Max, let me just say that the world is a better place when you're on the air. For people that don't know, in this business, sometimes in order for us to get paid, you got to stay off the air for a while, and that's what happened with Max. But Max, you belong where you are, on TV, on the radio, speaking into a microphone, and we still, Mason and I both, remain your biggest fans, man. It is great to have you back. How does it feel? Were you bored, or were you like, nope, this is good?
It feels weird. It feels weird getting this kind of thing from you guys. I'm expecting us to snap on each other. What's going on?
That's going to happen later.
Yeah, no, we will ultimately. Okay. Yeah, we'll snap at each other in the end.
Those were the golden. Let me tell you something. Not only was that the golden age of LA radio. Let's face it. But I mean, let's be honest. But that was the best time of life. The kids were young.
Amen.
I just moved out to L.A. It was like you guys and Marcellus and me and the four of us used to have a ball when we do crosstalk and stuff. Those were such great days. It must be really depressing around there without me. How do you guys keep morale up?
Well, we do our best. You know, thankfully we've got the best show in the history of Los Angeles, Mason and Ireland, to prop us up every single day.
Mace, let's be honest. You guys do it. There's no question you guys have the best show in Los Angeles radio. Now that Marcellus and I are no longer, there's no question
exactly what we would expect out of you.
Taking your throne.
Hey, but Max, how are the girls? They're grown up now. When Max said the kids were young, what he's talking about is as your kids get older, they don't like you as much. Are your kids still talking to you?
Yeah, you know, it's not that we're close. They're doing great. It's that you just when they're of a certain age, especially if you have girls, they just need their daddy.
Yep.
You know, like I used to have to sneak in the house when I got home from work, just so if I had a suit and tie on, let's say I was going, just so I could like wash the makeup off my face from TV, right?
Yep.
Get out of the suit and tie, get changed, because otherwise they'd be jumping on me, you know? And like those, you see all those reels, those sentimental reels on Instagram and everything, and people talking about those years when the house is a mess because the kids are. Those are the greatest years of anyone listening to us right now. My mother used to tell me the days are long, but the years fly by. If you have little kids and you cannot believe how tired you are, and you realize I got to give them dinner, and you and your wife are looking at each other, and it's only like 5:30 in the afternoon, but you know you're not going to be asleep before 11 because it's going to take forever to get them in a bath and get them fed. And you're like, oh, my God, I could drop dead from fatigue. Those are the greatest moments of your life.
Well said.
Now.
Well said.
Hey. All right, so we're going to get to the content of the Game Over podcast. But first I want to know, how did you and Rich Paul connect in the first place? How did this show come together for you?
Well, I was working on some stuff, and it was moving along. And it was, like, really good stuff. I was excited about it. And I got a call from Rich, and he was like, are you ready to do this show? And I thought he was joking. Because I figured, Rich wants to rep me or something. We've been good throughout the years. We got along. We used to, he was a source for me, and we were just friends. So after about 5 minutes on the phone, I realized, wait a minute, he's serious. He really wants to do this. So I had to think for a second, how would that work? And then I realized, wait a minute. If, as a consumer, like there's so many shows out there, as a consumer, if I heard that was the show, that it was him and me, and that I was going to hear from Rich Paul, I would have no choice but to consume it.
Sure.
I'd have no choice. I would feel like I used to talk about this on 710, but it's if you've ever been to Reno. I actually said this on the pod today. You ever see the Simpsons episode where they go to Reno and all the dead celebrities actually just live in Reno until they're aware that they're dead, and then they disintegrate, right? So I used to say on Max and Marcellus, like, if you listen to those other stations and other shows, whether or not you're entertained, you're in Reno. Nothing happens really matters.
Yeah.
Then you go to Vegas, right? And it's like, oh, my God, this is the cutting edge. And so I realized, like, if Rich and I are doing a show, you're in Vegas. Like, you must listen. If you want to know what's going on, you got to listen.
My thought, Max, when you announced it, is I wasn't worried about you. I know you're strong on opinions, and you were going to give us lots of them. I was worried that Rich would stay too close to the vest, would not. And boy, was I wrong, because he'll talk about it. you can take him anywhere and he'll follow you there. And he's answered. I can't think of a time where he didn't answer one of your questions. Are you surprised that Rich has been as candid as he's been when let's face it, he has a lot to lose if this goes wrong?
Well, yeah, am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised because, I thought about it carefully before we did this. And Rich was telling me how he would approach it. And, and Rich is an honest guy. Like, if he tells you something, he's straight up and down. Everyone thinks, like, oh, LeBron put this podcast together. LeBron, no. Like, LeBron's got nothing to do with it, right? So I'm not – look, the main thing about a partner, and you guys know this, is if you're on the radio or you're in a format that's not kind of strictly formatted linear television, your partner has to have depth. That's the main thing. As a human being, I mean, they have to have depth. You have to be able – and also intellectual capacity so you guys can go down rabbit holes together, right?
Yeah, right.
And then, like, wind up in a new place and learn something. Rich has depth as a person. So I'm not worried about – and I was never worried about how he'd do on the air. Now, we've been on for a month together. Now we're on Netflix. We were on Spotify, but now we're on Netflix. The first month of the pod was like rehearsal kind of, and
pretty good
we're
rehearsal.
Starting to hit our we're starting to hit our stride. But guys, as you know, Seinfeld season 1 versus Seinfeld season 3, right? Big difference.
Yep.
This pod is already, in my view, and not just because I'm on it, you got to be consuming this thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally cooking. I mean, everybody's talking. We've spent a big chunk of the show today talking about how you and Rich traded Austin Reaves to Memphis for Triple J.
I'm glad you brought that up, Max. Let me. This is the first thing I'm going to disagree with you about. You said that you thought Triple J would be a great fit next to Luka moving forward in exchange for Austin Reaves. This might just be my opinion. I want you to comment on it. I would rather have Austin Reaves at this stage of his career than I would Triple J because I think Austin is ascending and Triple J is descending. What do you think?
I don't know if Triple J is descending or not, but I'll say this about Austin Reaves. I like Austin Reaves a lot, as does Rich, by the way. And if you listen to the pod today, I threw out there because I know, because we talk, we hang out, we're driving someplace to a Rams game or we're having dinner or whatever. We talk about this stuff all the time and have for years, right? So I asked them, look, they're never going to trade Luka and keep Austin Reaves, but there is some redundancy, not just because they're white backcourt players who can score, right?
Yeah,
right. It's because they're on ball point guard scorer types, right? Okay.
Right.
So in with the second apron, you can't really afford redundancy nowadays. You can before it's time for them to get paid, but once they get paid, you can't be redundant. And because Luka is an unwilling defender, which I've been all over him about, and Austin Reaves is kind of like Steph in the sense that he's a willing defender.
Yeah, right.
He's just not very good at it, right?
Right.
I think it's a problem if all of your resources are funneled to those two places. I'm not convinced that you need to get rid of Austin Reaves. I think there's a world, it'll never happen, where you could deal Luka because you get more for him than Austin Reaves and build around Austin Reaves.
Right.
It's not about dissing Reaves.
Okay, so I want to throw something at you. This is, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. So if, let's say my agent, wonderful guy, did a podcast, and on the podcast said, yeah, Mason needs to get rid of John Ireland. That would... I would be pissed off about that.
Yeah, exactly. I've been putting up with it for 30 years.
That would piss me off that my agent was doing that. So talk about sort of this level of, like last night, apparently Rich had a 5-minute conversation with one of Austin's agents.
We talked about it on the show today, guys. This is what I'm saying. You can't not consume the show. It's on Spotify. It's on Netflix. You're going to have to check it out. But I will give you a preview. He did have that conversation, and he went in depth on that conversation.
Good for him.
Like that was, yes, he's not the crazy thing about Rich. And the reason I liked him so much as a source when I was on First Take, for example, is I was never burned by Rich. Like in other words, you know how guys, if you're a media guy, people try to position you, right? And for those who think, oh, LeBron's doing all this, there are useful idiots in the media, right? People who can easily. I am not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to position. Like, I'm not being positioned by Rich Paul through LeBron James. It's just not happening. And by the way, if it was happening, I would tell you, and that'd be part of the shtick of the show.
Yeah, that's why it's so good, because you guys both shoot from the hip. All right, Max, last thing for me. This is a question from Lisa Ireland.
Oh.
She's very interested in the answer. Have you met Adele, and what is she like?
Oh, great question.
I have met Adele, and she's great, briefly. But she was very nice. Like, the crazy thing about Adele is, you ever hear anyone say anything bad about Adele?
Never.
Like, everyone loves her from the music, like unimpeachably excellent, right? Yep. To like her. You never hear I can't think of a celebrity with that much kind of goodwill that people have toward them and so little negative stuff.
And Max, have you and part of this is she's authentic. If you've ever seen the video of when like other celebrities come to her show, she literally breaks down. Celine Dion came to her show and Adele broke down in tears. She was so excited to see. So she's genuinely appreciative of, like we all are, but she's genuinely appreciative of her luck in life.
And by the way, I saw Adele in Vegas at her residence. She puts on an unbelievable show. And she's very humble, and she's very down to earth, and she's very real.
Self-deprecating.
She's terrific. So I look forward to hearing her.
She's got pipes, boy.
That's true.
I look forward to hearing her on the Game Over podcast with you and Rich Paul. Again, congratulations on the show, man, and I hope you come back on.
Guys, it was a pleasure having me today.
Of course, it always is. Say hi to the girls. See ya.
There's Max Kellerman. What a great guy.